Over the last 8 years, my YouTube videos on seasoning Blackstone griddles have received 1.25 million views so far. Let's give it a try. Now, why do you need to season your griddle? 2 reasons. Number 1, you want to create a non-stick surface. That's going to allow you to do really cool things like turn crepes, flip French toast, and pancakes. The second reason is you want to get your griddle top to where it doesn't attract moisture. You don't want to have moisture in there, and you don't want to have rust. Rust is the enemy of your griddle. So seasoning is the process of burning oil into your cooktop, and that oil will leave behind compounds which will create a hard surface on your griddle top. First thing you want to do is fire up your griddle top and turn it to high heat. Over the next 5 or 10 minutes, you'll start to see small spots appear on your griddle top. This is totally normal. You might see brown and little accents of yellow. 10 minutes has elapsed and you can see the griddle top is really starting to brown over. So the next thing I would do is grab a pair of rubber gloves so you don't get your hands all greasy. Now, my name is Todd Toven, right? And if you've been following me on social media for any period of time, what do I always say? I always say you can use any kind of cooking oil to season your griddle top. You can use vegetable oil, olive oil, all of the above, right? Now, I don't want to be one of these I don't want to be one of these people that suddenly start pushing a new product and say that I was wrong in the past, because I wasn't wrong in the past. Blackstone saw a need to create a new product. Regardless of what I have said, regardless of what Chef Nate has said over the years, our number 1 question, my number 1 comment, customer service's number 1 question, regardless of all the resources we have, is how do I season my griddle top? And in the past, if I have said, hey, you can season it with canola oil, I literally have had people sending me messages saying, what brand of canola oil? So it gets pretty crazy. So Blackstone saw the need to create a new product. It's called Blackstone Griddle Seasoning and Cast Iron Conditioner. I will read straight from the packaging. It is a proprietary blend of palm oil, soy, canola, and beeswax. Can you still use any kind of cooking oil? Yes, you can. Depending on whether or not you left your griddle seasoning and cast iron conditioner in a hot van, it'll be some mixture of white or like a beeswax kind of color. So I'll put a few tablespoons on a cloth. Now, you can use tongs. In fact, if you're not an experienced griddler or line cook, I would probably suggest using a pair of tongs. A couple years ago, my good buddy Eric Mills said to me, boy, Todd, you season that thing with your bare hands, and I can't do it because I have fair hands. So if you have what I would call fair hands, please use a pair of tongs or a spatula. Otherwise, go straight down onto the griddle top, and you want to rub this into all the surfaces of the griddle, okay? I'm using a white cotton cloth, by the way. I'll use like a white cotton cloth or maybe a Bounty paper towel, whatever works for you. Again, this is a hot griddle top, so you want to be careful. Be forewarned. Please don't slip. Please don't burn yourself. I may or may not have burned myself once back in the day. And I may or may not have once accidentally used a red microfiber to try to season one of these and had the microfiber start to melt off and like a red, hot, greasy juice appear on the griddle top. I don't know, has that really happened? But that's how I do it. I use gloves, I use a cloth, and I rub it in. You want to let that griddle seasoning and cast iron conditioner burn off, smoke off. So you see that smoke, let it go, whether it's 3 minutes or whether it's 8 minutes, let that completely burn off before we go on to our next coating. Once again, you should see your griddle top start to turn varying shades of yellow, then brown, and then ultimately black. As that layer of seasoning burns off, you just want to grab some more. Again, I'm reminding you, if you're a newbie or if you don't want to burn your hands, you might want to consider using a pair of tongs, okay? You want to use thin layers, rub that straight into the griddle top. And I also want to tell you, you want to rub the edges like this. You want to rub the inside edges. You want to rub a little bit on the outside edge as well, and then we're not going to be cooking on the outside edge, but this is just going to help with that initial seasoning. Again, we have a piece of steel here, a plain piece of steel, and our goal is to get this thing completely blackened. And of course, if you really want to protect your hands from getting burned, I really recommend the Blackstone heat-resistant gloves, these silicone gloves. I mean, look at this, a blazing hot top, probably 600 degrees. Look at that, okay? I mean, protection, protection, protection. And now down with the third layer. Kind of hard with these gloves on. There we go. Don't have the dexterity that I do with a pair of rubber gloves. Go, completely rub that in. One big question I get is how many layers of seasoning do I apply to my griddle top, or how many times do I season it? Kind of tough to answer that one, because of course you want to season it until it's properly seasoned. So whether that's 4 times for you or whether that's 6 times for you, you're gonna have to figure it out. Again, the object is to get the griddle top completely black. I have literally, how many times have I said literally now? I've literally received a lot of messages from people who have asked me questions such as, I did 10 layers of seasoning, is that enough? I did 12 layers of seasoning, is that enough? You're gonna have to figure out what's enough for you. You wanna season your griddle until it's properly seasoned. My third layer of seasoning has burned off. It's probably been 30 minutes or so. Of course, I'm not timing it. As you can see here, if you look at the griddle top closely, it's getting really nice and blackened. Of course, the corners, and this is a big question, the corners aren't going to be completely seasoned yet because I haven't cooked on here yet. So a couple of tips and tricks I can tell you. If you do have the silicone gloves, one thing you can do, if you're handy, again, you're doing this at your own risk, be careful, this is a plate of hot steel. You can grab your plate like this, watch this, and flip it around. Now again, that's about 600 degrees. You don't, you want to be a little more careful. So in theory, that should allow that front edge to get completely blackened, just like my back edge did. So I let that burn for another 10 minutes or so, and you can see that side actually evened out. I'll grab my gloves again. Again, you're not going to find this in the instruction manual. You're going to want to be really careful. But for all those people out there that are always asking me how to get a perfectly seasoned griddle top, these are just some pro tips. So I'll go ahead and apply my 4th layer of seasoning. Judging by the way things are looking, I think 4 layers is going to do me just fine today. Another tip, another pointer that I forgot to tell you about, so see I'm human as well, is you probably want to go ahead and remove all of your side shelf stickers. Okay, so these are called point of purchase stickers, and the reason being that these might be assembled in a store, or you might take it out of the box and wonder, hey, what can I do with this? Or, you know, how many burgers do I cook with this? Or how many square inches of cooking real estate? Okay, but you want to definitely remove these. I've seen people that have left these on here and have cooked on theirs for weeks and months, and they get melted in and real nasty. So just go ahead and remove those before you get started with your seasoning. So is my griddle top completely seasoned right now? The answer is no. I always tell people that your griddle top isn't completely seasoned until you've seasoned it, you know, 3, 4, 5 times, and you've cooked on it a couple of times. So we're doing a demo, I set it up, I do this kind of thing. I always tell the people watching, watch, this first recipe is gonna stick a little bit. So you cook something like hash browns is a great recommendation. So not the bagged hash browns, but something homemade. So get some potatoes, dice them up, get some onions and dice them up, throw in some bacon, maybe some kind of a hash breakfast recipe. Let it kind of just, you know, simmer on the griddle top. Move them all around, turn them around, make sure you get stuff piled up in the edges. When you're done, you pull it off the griddle top. Use your griddle scraper to lightly scrape the griddle top. You're not digging in there. Lightly scrape it, wipe it down again, rub oil in there, and then take a look at it. If you have to, do that once or twice. Some people recommend, of course, that's the time when the bacon lovers want to come out and put a ton of bacon on their griddle, and that's also a great way to really expedite the finishing part of the seasoning process. So that's just how easy it is to season your Blackstone griddle, whether you're talking a 28-inch adventure ready griddle, a 36-inch air fryer combo, or a 17-inch griddle. You can pick up Blackstone's griddle seasoning and cast iron conditioner, or if you can't find it or you don't want to, you can still use your old cooking oil. They work very, very well. You want to keep it seasoned because it's going to prevent rust. Rust is your enemy, and that's going to give you that non-stick cooking surface that's going to allow you to shine when you're cooking on your Blackstone. So hopefully that helps out. Check us out at blackstoneproducts.com. Again, my name is Todd. Check out my videos on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram. Until next time, praise the Lord and pass the food.